While Russia is struggling with every tactical missile on the Ukrainian battlefield, China has announced the large-scale retirement of its DF-15 missiles. Why are these weapons, which Russia covets, facing retirement in China? Recently, a netizen captured images of what appears to be a retired DF-15 missile vehicle, sparking widespread online discussion, especially against the backdrop of the ongoing Russia-Ukraine conflict. Russia has repeatedly announced plans to expand its missile production capacity to compensate for battlefield losses. Meanwhile, China is beginning to retire these still advanced tactical missiles, a stark contrast that has piqued curiosity. Based on the photos, the missiles being towed away from the launch site are likely DF-15 missiles, the earliest model in the DF-15 series, which have been in service for over 35 years, nearing the lifespan limit of solid-fuel missiles. The current DF-15 series includes three main models: DF-15A, DF-15B, and DF-15C. Among these, the DF-15B and DF-15C utilize a two-stage rocket structure and solid fuel, making them relatively modern short-range tactical ballistic missiles. While the DF-15A shares similarities in appearance and other characteristics with later models, it employs a single-stage rocket structure, rendering its technology relatively outdated. Solid-fuel missiles typically have a service life of 20 to 25 years. Though longer than liquid-fuel missiles, they are not indefinite. Liquid-fueled missiles suffer severe structural damage due to the highly corrosive nature of their fuel, while solid-fueled missiles avoid this issue, but have more limited service lives for their precision components. Missiles can have their service lives extended to 40 to 50 years through life extension programs, but this approach poses two major issues: significantly increased operational costs and fault rates rising to unacceptable levels. The U.S. Minuteman III missile is a prime example. This intercontinental ballistic missile, which entered service in 1970, saw its continued service costs exceed those of developing and producing new missiles after undergoing service life extension, while failure rates continued to rise. For tactical missiles like the DF-15, the cost-effectiveness of extending their service life is extremely low. The replacement cost of ICBMs is extremely high, whereas the production cost of tactical missiles is relatively low. It is more feasible to produce new models to replace outdated missiles rather than spend large amounts of money on extending their service life. As a missile that has been in service since 1990, the DF-15's performance no longer meets the demands of modern battlefields. Unlike the two-stage rocket structure used in the DF-15B and DF-15C, the DF-15's single-stage rocket design lags significantly behind in technical details. With the introduction of hypersonic missiles like the DF-17, the technical advantages of the DF-15 series have become increasingly less pronounced. In fact, the DF-15 is no longer China's primary tactical ballistic missile, as the DF-17 significantly outperforms the DF-15 series in terms of speed and range. Under these circumstances, the need for secrecy surrounding the DF-15 has also decreased. This is similar to the fate of the HQ-2 air defense missile, with the deployment of new air defense systems like the HQ-16 and HQ-9. The HQ-2 has been fully retired, and its secrecy measures have been fully relaxed. Many HQ-2 missiles have even been transferred to universities for educational purposes. The development pace of the Chinese rocket force is extremely rapid, with various new missiles continuously entering service, which has accelerated the retirement process of older missiles. The scale of the rocket force and the number of missiles it can deploy have limits and cannot be expanded indefinitely. Under the constraint of limited missile maintenance capacity, producing one new missile essentially requires retiring one old missile. With the production of advanced tactical missiles like the DF-17, older missiles like the DF-15 are naturally being phased out of military units and retired. For missiles that still have confidentiality requirements, such as the DF-15B, they may be stored as spare parts inventory for active duty missiles. Those without confidentiality requirements can be displayed publicly. The successor to the DF-15 series demonstrates significantly superior performance. When the PCH-191 long-range rocket launcher fires extended-range guided munitions, it can also achieve a range of 600 kilometers, comparable to the DF-15. However, the PCH-191 rocket launcher is deployed within artillery brigades under Army Corps, allowing it to strike targets at 600 kilometers without needing to request support from the rocket force through the theater command, thereby simplifying the strike process. More importantly, the DF-17 hypersonic missile employs a wave-riding body design, and a Sanger trajectory, making it nearly impossible to intercept. This missile may remain unstoppable by any air defense system for the next 15 years. In comparison, the DF-15 series has become outdated. The DF-17 not only significantly outperforms the DF-15 in terms of speed and range but also boasts far superior technology. While the DF-15 possesses strong strike capabilities, particularly in terms of warhead variety, its aging status renders it no longer a mainstay of the rocket force. Internationally, Russia announced on August 4, 2025, that it would no longer adhere to the Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty, sending shockwaves through the Western world. Less than 24 hours later, photos of DF-15 missiles being towed away from launch sites began circulating on Chinese social media. While the timing may seem coincidental, the retirement of the DF-15 was already planned and is an inevitable result of equipment modernization. China's defense white paper has long emphasized the need to intensify efforts to phase out outdated equipment. Regarding these retired missiles, while some argue they could be exported, this does not align with China's principles for weapons exports. China does not export weapons that could impact regional military balances, and supplying such missiles to Russia or Iran would be unwise. China adheres to the three no's principle in weapons exports: the principle of balance, the principle of neutrality, and the principle of technology. Even to long-term strategic partners like Pakistan, China has never exported its most core military equipment. Retired DF-15 missiles are not entirely without value. In addition to potentially being stored as spare parts inventory for active-duty missiles, these missiles can be modified into target drones, specifically for testing and training missions related to missile defense systems. During the modification process, the flight control system of the DF-15 missile must be comprehensively upgraded to ensure the target drone can fly along a preset trajectory, simulating the flight paths of incoming missiles under various threat scenarios. Simulated warheads can also be installed on the target drone to realistically simulate the effects of different types of warheads, such as explosive power and fragment dispersion, providing a comprehensive test for missile defense systems. Additionally, the target drones can be integrated with advanced data recording and transmission systems, enabling real-time recording of various parameters during flight and transmitting the data back to the ground, supporting the performance enhancement and continuous optimization of missile defense systems. When the retirement of the DF-15 missile was captured by netizens, Russia was struggling to counter Ukraine's domestically developed Firebird cruise missile. Unlike Ukraine, which had to rely on inexpensive missiles for asymmetric warfare, China has entered a new level of military technology. The rocket force is undergoing a quiet transformation, with the pace of phasing out outdated equipment accelerating to make way for more advanced weapon systems. In the coming years, more outdated equipment like the DF-15 will be retired, replaced by hypersonic weapons like the DF-17. This transformation is not merely about the updating of weapons and equipment, it also represents a profound evolution in the overall combat philosophy and strategic thinking of the Chinese military, from a focus on quantity and scale to an emphasis on quality and effectiveness, and from the development of single military branches to the evolution of a joint combat system. The Chinese military is undergoing modernization at a pace visible to the naked eye.